is Andrew. I'm here with Paladin for the True Value for Fall Virtual User Meeting. Today we'll just talk about some changes in the upcoming Paladin, as well as some True Value specific things like remote stock check, stuff like that, which is really, really cool. So yeah, go ahead and get introduced here. My name is Andrew. I've been here with Paladin for about a year now. Very excited just to kind of talk to you guys about the latest on Paladin and just, again, just a little bit more specific things on True Value that you guys will definitely benefit from. So we'll get started here. This is our 2021 releases here, and this is just kind of a list. It's a fairly long list, but a lot of very simple things that we'll kind of be discussing here, which is very simple, just changes with Paladin and nothing too crazy. So we'll go ahead and get started here with True Value, specifically remote stock check updates. This is updates nightly, so True Value now has supplier stock check, and you now have the hand on automatically updating it overnight. Essentially, you will no longer have to do any type of manual processes. They should be all taken care of essentially by remote stock check with Paladin now, since they show you what your RDC or your regional distribution center has on hand, as well as on order quantity. Which is really cool, really helps out for ordering. A lot of people benefit from remote stock check. It's been a huge help for a lot of our stores, especially right now with how nonsensical a lot of our stores are, or a lot of the distribution centers are right now. It's crazy. But either way, moving on to pick list report here. So we have essentially created a pick list available for our customers here, which is really cool for your fulfillment department to complete orders. Essentially what you'll do is you go to the invoice quote module, select a customer. If you need to, in the recall transaction, you'll have to select quote, and essentially it'll allow you to create the pick list. It'll essentially create a spreadsheet for your pick list here, and make it really easy for finding orders and make it easy for your fulfillment team to actually fulfill those orders. So this is kind of just what you'll see here. Usually what this will do is it'll sort unfulfilled items by order, includes order details such as your customer, projects, item quantity, price, stuff like that. All right, decluttering your quotes by removing old quotes. So this is really helpful if you've got a ton of stored quotes that are older, maybe they never came down, maybe they did come down and and they just re-rang it up but didn't pull up the quote. Either way, now you have the option to select to delete quotes after a certain amount of days that's set by you. Now be aware, this is a permanent deletion of that quote. If you go in there and you set it to 7 days and 7 days goes by and that quote's deleted, there's no getting it back. So make sure that you at least give yourself a little bit reasonable cushion time there. So if you do hit those days, you got a little extra time just in case if the customer changes their mind or whichever. If you want to set this to never delete quotes, you can just set the day to 0 and quotes will never be deleted. This can be set up in File, Setup, Invoice, and Store, and then look for the setting Delete Stored Quotes after X days. All right, skip signatures on mobile to checkout apps. For those of you that use mobile to checkout, that's at your store, at trade shows, or wherever, you now have the option to skip signatures, which is really nice. You have to have the right criteria set in Paladin to actually make it work. So if you go to File, Setup, Credit Card tab, Signatures pane, you can set up the signature requirements there. Be aware this does require the new checkout or mobile to checkout version of 1.1.5 or later. And if you need help setting that up or getting it upgraded, please contact Paladin support to upgrade that app. All right. Moving on to transaction report now includes rewards IDs. So this is not necessarily specific to like rich rewards, ACE rewards, True Value rewards. There's a lot of information that can come from this. So I mean, the biggest thing that at least I see on here is, for our example, is point of rental. So there's a lot, if you use point of rental, there's a lot of different ways that show different identifiers for your customers now, which really can kind of help, take a look at your transaction report and see what's the best way to sort it. All right, moving on to charge customer email utility. So if you have essentially charge customers all set up and you want to send out an email blast to them and you want to just give them updates or if you want to give them promotions or whichever you want to do, it's entirely up to you. Essentially, Paladin will make that really easy for you. The only thing you got to add in there is your custom content, essentially the body of the email. Paladin will do the rest here. Now this will send it out to all non-zero credit limit customers. So if you even have credit limit set for 1 penny, it'll be sent to them. If you want to set that up, it's in maintain, utilities, customer utilities, and then email charge customer. All right, returns, charge only. So if you have an employee that you are specifically wanting them to only allow returns to your credit or their charge, you can now set this up in employee access. If you want to have them, essentially, customer comes in, pays cash, and you only want for return to store credit, you can now set that up for employee level access. So very, very cool there if you want to kind of limit on what as returns are being handed out. Next is collect on delivery, or COD. Feature allows essentially customers to pay purchases that are delivered. Normally people would be like, well, why don't we just charge it, or why don't we just, give them a store credit? Well, this feature specifically is, created for when a customer doesn't have store credit, or if a customer exceeds their store credit, you can now essentially still get delivery out to them without having to worry about doing store credit, or at least exceeding their store credit. Email purchase orders to any address. So this is really cool for if you're doing a PO. You can now essentially add a custom email in there that's not the one that's normally defaulted to. So if you create a PO that's very unique and you're like, you know what, I want to send this to a very specific email address this time, you now have the option to do that. And just be aware, if you're doing a PO and there is no email address saved on file, whichever one you manually enter will actually be saved as the default. Now that can be changed later, no problem, but just as a heads up, that's what'll be done there. All right, for our multi-store people here, multi-store. So if you have a QR code set up, you can now do individual QR codes for each store. So if you have a 3-store chain and you want a different QR code for all 3 stores, you can now do that. So if you want to do the normal setup file setup, and then in the Forms tab in the Invoice QR code pane, there you can upload your own QR code, and now it can be unique to each store. You don't have to do it for all of them. Next up, we got advanced lookup searches, customer account on hand data, or ACH data. So in the advanced lookup, if you need no counting, routing, name, all of that can be now searched in the advanced lookup. Well, name always was able to, but if you have any other ACH data that you have laying around and you don't know anything else about it, you can now search their stuff with advanced lookup. Super helpful if you just have something that you're like, oh crap, I have the account number, but I have no clue who this belongs to. You can now search that in Paladin. Talking about advanced lookup here, we also have description 3. So if you guys have description 3 set up, which sometimes is usually set up for like Volusion or for certain web store integrations, you can now use advanced lookup to search in description 3. So if you have something in Volusion that's normally used in description 3, you can now search in advanced lookup. It's very nice. All right, next is exclude description 2 from customer receipts. This is very helpful because I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen item canceled by a supplier. Something I see all the time for items that people pull up. And unfortunately, sometimes, for me personally, I wouldn't want to see it on my receipt, the item I just paid full price for is, saying item canceled by a supplier. So if you have that, or if you guys are just have a lot of description 2s that you maybe use for personal notes for items or whichever, you can now turn that off from customer receipts. Essentially, you'll find that in the store invoice store tab after file setup. But yeah, very cool. All right, we got new GL summary accounting, or new categories for rich rewards. So this is going to be very helpful for our accounting folks here. So in here we have coupons issued for asset accounts and expense accounts. So you'll see asset accounts there at the top, coupons issued, and then expense accounts there at the bottom, coupons issued. So if you guys have rich rewards, that's a great way to help your accounting. All right. Simplified tax holiday sales and accounting. So this is a very important thing for certain areas across the United States where they decided to make everyone's life difficult, and they wanted to allow a $300 bicycle to have $100 of that $300 bicycle tax-free. Very complicated math that kind of all goes in there, but we made it simple by either hitting Control-T or right-clicking on the item itself and then going to Tax Holiday and entering in the amount that you want to be tax-free. So it's very, very cool. All right, stock on hand or oversold alerts. So this is very important for our people that have lumber yards, or for realistically anything where your employees are ringing up things that are out in a yard or across the store or whichever, where they may not know that we're actually running out of stock of that item and they don't want to essentially sell it to that customer. Have them run out to the yard, get their truck loaded up, and then turns out, well, we only have 8 of the 20 that you bought. Sorry, you already paid for it. Now we have to walk back in, return it. It's just a huge process, huge pain. So now essentially Paladin will state, okay, yep, this item is insufficient stock on hand. Did you want to update the quantity to the current stock on hand? So if your cashier rings out 20 of them, we only have 8. It'll change the stock on hand to 8 because that's the only thing you got left. So very helpful for them to be like, oh, you know what? Sorry, we only have 8 now. Very nice. All right, Benjamin Moore. So as everyone knows here with Benjamin Moore is they require certain specific reports. Paladin now has that under Utilities, Customer Utilities, and Benjamin Moore OSR report. Essentially, Paladin now creates reports required by Benjamin Moore, and you can access them all there. And this is kind of what you see. So for people that use Benjamin Moore, they kind of know what that is. All right, bin tags. Got a couple bin tags here that are new to Paladin. For example, the barbell bin tag there on the left, very unique looking bin tag. This one specifically for like small items or jewelry. You know, that's usually you'll see them in like little jewelry shops where they have those little tiny bin tags on them. That's exactly what they're used for. Very nice, very nice, very good custom little adhesive barbell label there. We also got new bin tags 41 and 42, a whole lot of them to choose from. All right, incremental part numbers for added inventory. So if you have a new item and you know what, you're like, I don't have a UPC to scan in for this item and I don't want to start making up alternate part numbers that are completely out of sync, Paladin will now essentially automatically do that for you if you'd like. So we have a next X number. So that little button you can see there highlighted next to the alternate part number, essentially it'll create X00001 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it'll cycle all the way up to 99,999. So if you need an alternate part number and you don't want to create one and you don't want to manage that, Paladin can now do that for you. All right, exporting your sales into Excel. So I know a lot of people are very, interested in what their sales are looking like, all of that fun stuff. So we can now get more of a detailed view into Excel. So there's an export sales list feature that's in the data, the file setup sales list tab. You click edit, click export, and you'll see kind of just a little snippet there of what you'll see. It's very cool just to kind of get more in depth of today's sales. All right, more for our accounting folks here. We got some more updates for example, QuickBooks, Sage 50 Cloud, and Microsoft Dynamics GP. QuickBooks is the biggest one here. We have a ton of online features for it. We have a ton of online integration, but we are soon coming up, well, I think it's at least at this point, with the desktops integration. So you now have a lot of options for a ton of accounting options out there. All right. Limit customer types to that you create. So if you have a customer in there that you can create a specific type for, it helps you categorize customers and provide, specific reporting and different types of, for example, if you have a customer type that is set to 1, I don't really have a good example, at least on what most people would like to set up, but if you have a specific customer type that you want to set up, you can now get specific comparative revenue reports on that and transaction reports on that. If you have a certain customer type that you want to identify deeper, reporting on. All right, just a small change, nothing too crazy here. People that are now partnered with Blue Tarp, which is now called Capital One Trade Credit. Process is going to be the exact same. Nothing's going to change there, but the financial services just had updated their logo, a little bit of rebranding. You'll see it just changed to Capital One Trade Credit. The whole process is going to be the exact same though. So just as a heads up, just so you're not like, what changed? Why is it different? That is pretty much everything I have for today. We have a little bit more on all of our release guides for 2021. So we got A, B, C, and D. This is all on our website, paladinpos.com/webinars. You also have, if you go to the Paladin knowledge base, you got all of that information there. So also in some links, which will be posted usually about 24 hours after this has been released. So it's all good. Next up, we got a webinar on specifically protecting your business, and this is all related to cybersecurity stuff on October 5th at 9 a.m. So this is super important. I think everyone should be watching this because cybersecurity is an incredibly important topic, and I need a lot of people to really look into it because we need to, be a lot more secure with cybersecurity. Everyone does. So super good webinar to go attend. So please go attend that one. It's very important. Besides that, that's it for us today. So I don't see any questions posted at all here. So I think that's all good. If there's any other questions that you guys may have, this webinar is recorded, so feel free to refer back to it here. And if you can't find the answer there, feel free to contact Paladin support and ask them your questions there. Alrighty, thank you so much.